Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kita mulakan kelas kita pada pagi ini dengan membaca Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. A'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, arrahmanirrahim, maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Amin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayidina Muhammadin asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, ampunkanlah dosa-dosa kami, ampunkanlah dosa kedua ibu bapa kami dan kasihilah mereka sebagaimana mereka mengasihi kami di masa kecil. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, kurniakanlah kepada kami ilmu yang bermanfaat untuk diri kami, keluarga kami, agama kami, bangsa kami dan negara kami. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, berilah kepada kami kejayaan di dunia dan di akhirat. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, jadikanlah kami orang-orang yang bersyukur. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah qina azabannar. Walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Okey, alhamdulillah kita dapat bertemu lagi pada pagi ini untuk kelas yang kedua, minggu pertama. Jadi saya nak ambil attendance dulu. Yang pertama, okey, Ainin ada?
Ada, sir.
Ainin. Okey. Alisa,
Ada, sir.
Ilya, tak ada. Imanina,
Ada, sir.
Muhammad Hazriman,
Ada, sir.
okey, Muhammad Khairul,
Ada, sir.
Muhammad Danish,
Saya, sir.
okey. Najia Ilisa,
Ada, sir.
Nur Aisyah, tak ada. Nur Alia, tak ada. Nur Elisa,
Saya, sir.
okey. Nur Hazira,
Saya, sir.
okey. Nur Nisa,
Saya,
tak. Okey. Nur Safia, Syafia,
Saya, sir.
okey. Nurain,
Saya, sir.
okey. Nurin Arisha,
Ada, sir.
okey. Nurul Aini, tak ada. Nurul Najiha,
Saya, sir.
okey. Syazwani,
Saya, sir.
okey. Siti Nur Farhana,
Saya, sir.
okey. Siti Nurain Syuhada, tak ada.
Maaf, sir.
Amira,
Aini ada tau.
Hah?
Nurul
Aini?
Aini ada.
Nurul Aini, Nurul Aini ada? Ada.
Ya saya.
Okey. Siti Nurain, tak ada. Amira,
Saya, sir.
okey. Patricia,
Saya, sir.
Irdina,
Saya, sir.
Nur Syafiqah, tak ada.
Sir.
Eh?
Yang Aisyah tu dia punya internet problem. Dia on the way
Ah.
masuk.
Aisyah, mana tadi Aisyah? Apa nama Aisyah tadi?
Nur
Siti?
Aisyah.
Nur Aisyah. Nur Aisyah.
Sir, Alia
Ya.
Najwa pun sama. Internet dia perlahan sikit.
Siapa dia?
Nur Alia Najwa.
Nur Alia Najwa, okey. Siti Nurain, tak ada. Nur Syafiqah, tak ada. Nurul Iza,
Saya, sir.
okey. Sharifah Nur Batrisha,
Saya, sir.
okey. Syahira Ahmad, tak ada. Okey, kita sambung dengan apa yang kita berhenti pada kelas yang lepas. Okey, saya share.
Assalamualaikum, sir.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi ya.
Saya Aisyah. Sorry, masuk lambat.
Aisyah,
Nur Aisyah.
Nur Aisyah dah ditanda. Lagi?
Okay.
Saya Nur Alia Najwa.
Nur Alia Najwa. Okey, dah tanda. Siapa lagi? Dah semua Okey, kita sambung dengan research and development. Okey, boleh nampak semua ya. Okey. That day on 17 March, we have stopped here until example 1 in page 529. So today we are going to continue with the next page. Okay, example of development activities. Okay, in the previous class we know the example of research, yeah, and this one is example of development activities. Okay, so what are the examples of development activities, including the design, the construction and testing of pre-production or pre-use prototype and models, also the design of tools, jigs, molds and dies involving new technology. Okay, what will be the accounting treatment for development activities? It will be capitalized. It means it can be recognized as an asset. Yeah. So capitalize all costs incurred from the date the intangible asset first meet the criteria. Okay. First meet the 6 criteria. We have 6 criteria here. First meet the 6 criteria, we recognize as an intangible asset. Okay. What about the cost? The cost, all directly attributable costs necessary to create, to produce, and to prepare an asset for intended use will be capitalized as an intangible asset. What are the examples? The examples are cost of materials, service consumed, personnel costs, salaries and wages, yeah, fees to register a legal rights, patent, yeah, amortization of patent, licenses used to generate the intangible asset, depreciation for property, plant, equipment used in developing the intangible asset related to development stage. So those are the examples of the expenditure that can be included as part of the development costs. Development costs that are capitalized are all costs incurred from the date the intangible asset first meets the recognition criteria, including the 6 criteria mentioned before in the last 2 pages. The costs comprise of all directly attributable costs necessary to create, to produce, and to prepare the asset for intended use. Okay, so just now we have also mentioned the cost of material, personnel costs, fees to register the right, amortization of patent and licenses, as well as depreciation for property, plant, and equipment used in developing the intangible asset. Okay, according to MFRS 123, borrowing costs. Sometimes when you want to create your development, when you want to develop your intangible asset, you need to borrow money from bank. You need to borrow money from bank. So according to MFRS 123, borrowing cost allows borrowing cost to be capitalized as part of development cost if it meets the criteria for capitalization. Okay, if it meet the criteria for capitalization, can be incorporated as part of the development cost. Okay, we have an example here. An entity is developing a new computer software. Developing a new computer software. During the year X4, the expenditure incurred was 120,000, of which 100,000 was incurred before 1st October X4, and the balance was incurred from 1st on October to December X4. So the 120,000 can be divided into 2 phases. Into 2 phases. The first phase will be before 1st October. Okay, before 1st October. And the second phase is after October, starting from 1st October until December X4. So before 1st October, it was 100,000. And starting from October, it is how much? 20,000. Only on 1st October was the entity able to demonstrate that the project can meet all the 6 criteria for recognition as an intangible asset. Okay, it means we can only recognize 20,000 as intangible asset. 100,000 is not intangible asset, it is an expense because it is under research stage. Okay, and one more important thing that we cannot recognize 100,000 is because the expenditure do not meet, the expenditure do not meet the 6 recognition criteria. So in year X5, the cost incurred was 60,000. At the end of X5, the recoverable amount was 75,000. Okay, just now in year X4, you can recognize 20,000. And then in year X5, you can recognize 60,000. So altogether, it is 80,000. Yeah, the carrying amount of the development, the carrying amount of the intangible asset is 80,000. However, at the end of X5, the recoverable amount, recoverable amount was only 75,000. So how much actually we can recognize as intangible asset? Okay, on 1st January X5, on 1st January X5, the intangible asset is 20,000. And then in year X5, we add with 60,000. So it means at the end of the year, the carrying amount is 80,000. But the recoverable amount is only 75,000. So how are we going to answer this? First, 100,000 will be written off as an expense. 20,000 incurred in 2000 X4 will be recognized as and capitalized as an asset. And then 60,000 incurred in X5 will be recognized and capitalized as an asset. So now the carrying amount is 80,000. Okay. 100,000 that we have written off cannot be reinstated. Once it becomes an expense, it cannot be reinstated as an asset. Even though that time, in 1st October 2000 X4, we can see that the expenditure can meet the recognition criteria. But we have written off 100,000 earlier. So that 100,000 written off cannot be reinstated to be capitalized as an asset. The difference between recoverable amount 75,000 and carrying amount of 80,000 at the end of year X5, and the difference is 5,000, is charged as an expense in statement of profit or loss. So the amount disclosed as intangible asset in the financial statement is 75,000, not 80,000, not 60,000, not 20,000, but it is 75,000. Okay, class, are you following?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Next, subsequent measurement. That one, the first one, it is initial measurement. Initial measurement where we have to calculate the cost. So now, for subsequent measurement, what is subsequent measurement? Measurement after initial measurement. First time measurement is initial measurement. First time measurement is initial measurement. The second time measurement is subsequent measurement. The third time is subsequent measurement until the end of the life of the intangible asset. So we have two choices of subsequent measurement. The first choice is cost model. The first choice is cost model and intangible asset that has a finite useful life. What is finite? Finite means we can identify how long the asset will live. How long the asset will generate future economic benefit. So that is a finite useful life. Will be carried at cost less accumulated amortization and any accumulated impairment losses. The intangible is amortized systematically over the finite useful life. So for example, you have an intangible asset and the cost is 100,000. So remaining the useful life is 5 years. So you have to divide 100,000 with 5 years. And the amortization per year is 100,000 divided by 5. That is equal to 20,000 per year. Okay, amortization. The second choice is revaluation model. we have only two choices, cost model or revaluation model, depending on the accounting policy of the company. Okay. Second one is revaluation model. What is revaluation model? Revaluation model is only allowable if there is fair value in reference to an active market. So, an intangible asset can only use revaluation model if the intangible asset is available in an active market and we can get the fair value in active market. Otherwise, we have to use cost model. All right. So let's say now the fair value in active market is available. We can use the revaluation model. And revaluation must be made regularly. What is the meaning of regular? It can be once a year. It can be one for every 6 months. That is regular. Intangibles in the same class should also be revalued. Let's say you choose revaluation model for your patent and you have 3 patents. The 3 patents will have to use revaluation model. Alright. Accounting treatment of surplus or deficit on revaluation is the same as the property, plant, and equipment. So, what are you going to do with surplus or deficit on revaluation in your property, plant, and equipment? What are you going to do? You are going to record in the asset revaluation reserve for surplus, and for deficit for the first time, you are going to charge your profit or loss account. Okay, this is an example of R&D. Okay, we have two situations. The first situation is, in 2010, the company incurred a research cost of 80,000. What the company has to do, the company will have to expense off the 80,000 because it is a research expenses. And then in the year 2011, the company incurred development cost of 110,000. But this 110,000 do not meet all the 6 criteria of the recognition of intangible asset. So what we have to do, we have to expense off the 110,000. And in the year 2012, a development cost of 200,000 incurred and meet all the 6 criteria. So what we are going to do, we are going to capitalize this 200,000. So at the end of 2010, the carrying amount of intangible asset is 0. 2011 is 0. But 2012, we have a balance of 200,000. Okay, 200,000 as an intangible asset because it met all the 6 criteria. Then situation 2, okay, the same to situation 1. In 2010, the company incurred 80,000 research costs. So what we have to do, we have to expense as an expense. And then in the year 2011, development cost of 110,000 meet all the criteria. So what we have to do, we have to capitalize as an intangible asset. So we have intangible asset of 110,000 on 31st December 2011. In 2012, development cost of 200,000 do not meet all the 6 criteria. Do not meet all the 6 criteria. Therefore, what we have to do, we have to expense off. Are we going to expense off 200,000 only? The answer is no. We are going to expense off 200,000 plus 110,000 that we have capitalized in previous year. So we are going to expense off 310,000 in the year 2012. Okay, can you follow?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes. Okay. Very good. Okay. Under the cost model, whenever there is any acquisition of intangible asset, okay, when there is any acquisition of intangible asset, we are going to debit intangible asset and credit bank or credit account payable. Either one. Debit intangible asset, credit bank or credit account payable. If you are paying by cash or by check, then you are going to credit bank. But if you are not paying yet, it become account payable. Alright? That is under the cost model. Okay. And if the asset, is amortized, let's say for 5 years just now, 100,000 divided by 5 years, you amortize 20,000 every year. So what you are going to do, you are going to debit SOPL, statement of profit or loss for amortization expenses, and you are going to credit accumulated amortization. In simple, debit amortization, credit accumulated amortization 20,000. The first year, in the second year, the same thing. Debit 20, credit 20 until the 5th year. Okay, that is under the cost model. Under revaluation model, when you acquire the asset, when you acquire the intangible asset, the journal entry will be the same. Debit intangible asset and credit bank or credit account payable. The same. But when there is any revaluation, okay, before revaluation, in the first year, you are going to amortize. You are going to amortize by debiting the amortization expense and crediting the accumulated amortization, 20,000, for example. Okay. Whenever there is a revaluation, whenever there is a revaluation, okay, what we have to do? Okay, if the first time revaluation is revaluation surplus, if the first time revaluation is revaluation surplus, what we are going to do? We are going to reverse first the accumulated amortization. Just now we have amortized, right? We amortize debit amortization, credit accumulated amortization. Now we have to reverse the amount of accumulated amortization, debit accumulated amortization, credit intangible asset. That is the first step. Secondly, if there is a surplus revaluation, we are going to debit intangible asset and credit ARR. Debit intangible asset, credit ARR with the amount of surplus on revaluation. If the first time revaluation is deficit, what we will do? The same thing, we have to debit accumulated amortization and credit intangible asset first, to eliminate the accumulated amortization, and then the deficit on revaluation, we are going to debit our SOPL and credit intangible asset. Debit SOPL and credit intangible asset because revaluation deficit. Revaluation deficit means the value of the intangible asset decrease. Okay. That is for the first time revaluation. The first one is if the revaluation is surplus, and the second one is if the revaluation is deficit. That is the first time revaluation. What about the second time revaluation? What about the second time revaluation? And the second time revaluation is deficit. Okay. If let's say the first time revaluation is surplus and the second time is deficit, okay, we are going to debit our ARR. We are going to debit our ARR. Just now we have credited our ARR because of surplus on revaluation. Now we debit the ARR up to the available balance in ARR. Up to the available balance in ARR. For example, just now, if the surplus on revaluation is 20,000 and the deficit on revaluation is 30,000. Surplus is 20,000, but deficit is 30,000. What we are going to do? We are going to debit ARR up to 20,000 only because the deficit is only 20,000. What about the 10,000? The 10,000 will be debited to SOPL on deficit on revaluation. It means a combination, because you have credited ARR for 20,000 last year, and this year you have to debit only up to 20,000, not more than 20,000. And the balance is to be debited to statement of profit or loss. That is deficit on revaluation. And credit intangible asset, how much? 30,000. Okay. What if the second revaluation is deficit? Okay. Soalan dia tadi, what if the second revaluation deficit when the first revaluation is surplus? Okay, the next page is the second time revaluation is surplus. Yeah, second time revaluation is surplus. First time deficit, second time surplus. So what we are going to do, we are going to debit intangible asset and we are going to credit SOPL if the deficit is in the previous year up to the maximum amount charged in the previous year. Okay, so let's say, for example, last year we have a deficit of 20,000. And this year we have a surplus of 30,000. Sorry, I put different figure. Yeah, the deficit last year is 20,000. It means we have debited our SOPL and credited intangible asset last year. So this year we have a surplus of 35,000. Yeah, 35,000. So what we are going to do, we are going to debit intangible asset 35,000. We are going to credit our SOPL only 20,000 because we have credited last year. Sorry, we have debited last year our SOPL by 20,000. And we are going to, we are going to what? Up to the maximum amount charged in the previous year to SOPL. Yeah. So the balance of 15,000 surplus on revaluation is to be credited to asset revaluation reserve. Okay. Can you see the situation? Can you follow?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
very good, very good, very good. Okay. Revaluation surplus is the fair value. If the fair value of the asset exceeds the carrying value, the surplus is credited to equity. Yeah, credited to equity means credited to asset revaluation reserve. Unless the surplus is due to deficit on revaluation in the previous year. Okay. So dalam kotak tadi kita dah tunjuk lah. First time surplus, second time deficit, first time deficit, second time surplus. How are we going to react to that? Okay. In which case the surplus reverses a revaluation deficit. What about decrease on revaluation? A decrease arising from a revaluation is taken to the income statement. However, the decrease is debited to revaluation reserve first to the extent of any credit balance in the revaluation reserve in respect of that particular intangible asset. We have an example here. Hex carried out a development project that met the criteria for recognition as an asset on 1st April 14. Costs incurred until April 14 were 4.5 million. And 3 million was incurred from April 14 till the completion of the project on 31st May 15. The fair value of development costs as at 31st December 15 was 5.2 million. And the economic life of the asset is indefinite. Okay, so we have a few things to be discussed here. First one, Hex. Yeah, Hex is the name of the company that carrying out a development project. And the project meet the criteria for recognition of an asset on 1st April. Okay, it starts with cost incurred before April. Cost incurred before April, 4.5. What we are going to do? 4.5 million. What we are going to do? We are going to write off. Yeah. We have to expense, yes. To expense or to write off in SOPL because it does not meet the 6 recognition criteria. What about the 3 million was incurred from April 14? April 14 is the date when the development project meet the recognition criteria. So we can recognize 3 million. We can recognize 3 million starting from April 14 until the completion of the project on 31st May 15. So 3 million can be recognized as an intangible asset. And then the fair value of development cost at 31st December 15 was 5.2. Okay. Just now, the carrying amount is 3 million, but the fair value is 5.2 million. And the economic life of the asset is indefinite. What is the meaning of this? Economic life of the asset is indefinite. We know that we are going to get the future economic benefit, but we are not sure for how long. We are not sure for how long. Is it 10 years? Is it 20 years? Okay. We cannot see that it will stop. Yeah. We cannot see that the future benefit will stop at any year. So we classify this as indefinite life. So when it is an indefinite life, we do not have to amortize. We don't have to amortize. Yeah. So discussion. Intangible recognized is 3 million only. 4.5 million is expense of. On 31 December, the asset carrying amount will be 5.2 million. The original carrying amount is 3 million. The fair value is 5 million. So we compare. We compare 5.2 million and 3 million. There is a difference of 2.2 million. Right? 2.2 million. This 2.2 million will be recognized as surplus on revaluation in equity and also disclosed under other comprehensive income. Okay. Next. Another example. On 1st January 11, Triple Z ataupun ZZZ acquired a franchise for 400,000. We have a keyword of acquired here. Acquired means purchase. It means buy. Acquired, purchase, bought, the same thing. Okay. So when you acquire means you have the document. You have the document, you have the invoice. And the cost is stated clearly. For 400,000. The expected economic life is 8 years. The entity adopts a revaluation model. On 31 December 12, the fair value was 420,000. And on 31 December 14, it was 170,000. So what we are going to do? We are going to start with year 11. In year 11, what we are going to do? We are going to recognize first 400,000 as an intangible asset. Yeah, asset recognized at 400,000 and it will be amortized over 8 years. Why we have to amortize? Because we know the amount of useful life. Yeah, we know the amount of useful life. So we have to amortize over 8 years. 400,000 divided by 8 years, it is 50,000. So for the first year, year 11, we are going to amortize the franchise for 50,000. Yeah, debit amortization, credit accumulated amortization, 50,000. What about in year 12? In year 12, on 31st December year 12. 31st December year 12. On 31st December, how old is the franchise? How old is the franchise? Berapakah umur franchise?
2 years.
2 years, yes, 2 years. So 2 years, it means you have to amortize over 2 years. Just now, in the first year, you amortize 50,000. In the second year, you amortize another 50,000. So your carrying amount, your carrying amount on 31st December year 12 is 300,000. But your fair value is 420,000. Your fair value is more than the amount of carrying amount. Carrying amount is 300,000. Fair value is 420,000. So there is a surplus on revaluation of 120,000, and this amount will be credited to revaluation reserve. That is in year 2012. In the year 2013, we have to amortize. But the amortization amount is not the same because we have a new value for calculating the amortization. Yeah. The carrying amount on 31st December, 31st December year 12, the new carrying amount is 420,000. And how much is the remaining life? Just now we have taken 2 years. Year 11, year 12, 2 years already. So remaining useful life is 6 years. 420,000 divided by 6 years equal to 70,000. So the new amortization charge starting from year 2013 is 70,000. Therefore, at the end of the year 2013, that is on 31st December 13, the carrying amount is 420,000 minus 70,000, which is equal to 350,000. Amortization is 70,000 and the carrying amount is 350,000. Okay, what happened in year X14? In the year 2014? In the year 2014, we are going to amortize again. What is the amount of amortization? 70,000. So 350,000 minus amortization of 70,000. The carrying amount is 280,000 at the end of year 2014. Yeah. So the carrying amount is 280,000. What is the amount of fair value? I can hear another lecture. I can hear another lecture. Okay, dah tak ada. Amortization charge is 70,000. So 350,000 minus 70,000, it is equal to how much? 280,000. Yeah, 350 minus 70 is equal to 280,000. That is the carrying amount in the year 2014. But at the same time, on 31st December 14, the fair value is 170,000, which is below 280,000. What is the difference? The difference is 280,000 minus 170,000. It equals to 110,000. Revaluation deficit. Just now we have a revaluation surplus, 120,000. This time we have revaluation deficit of 110,000. So what are we going to do with 110,000? What are we going to do? 110,000 will be debited to the asset revaluation reserve, because in the year 2012, we have credited surplus on revaluation in the asset revaluation reserve. And this time we have a deficit on revaluation of 110,000. So the amount is less than 120,000. So we can debit our asset revaluation reserve by 110,000. Okay. You understand?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, useful life and amortization. Yeah. So before we can calculate the amortization, we have to identify whether the asset is an asset with a finite life or indefinite life. Yeah. Whether it has a finite life or indefinite life. Finite life means we can find the useful life. Indefinite life, we do not know how much, how long. If there is a contractual right, the useful life should not exceed the legal period. For example, you purchase a patent. You purchase a patent and the contract year of the patent is 5 years. So useful life is 5 years. Even though the real life, the economic life of the patent is 10 years. But for you, the useful life is only 5 years because your contract with the seller is only 5 years. At times, the economic life could be shorter than legal life, in which the amortization should be over the economic life and not the legal life. Okay, let's say the economic life is only 4 years, but your contract is 5 years. So your useful life is only 4 years, not 5 years. Yeah, because another year tu you dah tak dapat dah future economic benefit. Finite life. Okay, for finite life, amortized on a systematic basis. That could be straight line method. To be used unless another method reflect pattern of consumption more reliably. Okay, the normal method that we are using is straight line method for intangible asset. Yeah? Residual value is zero unless there is a firm commitment by a third party to buy the asset at the end of the life, or there is an active market and it is probable such a market will exist at the end of the asset life. So normally we have no residual value. We have no scrap value for intangible asset unless, okay, we have a commitment from a third party that he or she will buy the intangible asset at the end of the useful life. At the end of the useful life. And then annual review of useful life and changes are considered as a change in accounting estimate. It is not accounting policy, it is an accounting estimate. Amortization begins when the asset is available for use. Intangible asset that has a legal life and there are provisions for renewal. The potential renewal are only considered in useful life assessment if renewal costs are not significant. Yeah. An example here, an entity acquired the copyright to a popular song and paid 100,000. Acquired copyright. Beli copyright. Copyright is an example of intangible asset. What is the amount? 100,000. It has a firm offer from a third party to buy the copyright at the end of the 5 years for 40,000. Jadi dia beli lagu. Copyright untuk sebuah lagu dengan harga 100,000 dan tempoh dia adalah 5 tahun. Tempoh dia 5 tahun. So, selepas tempoh 5 tahun, ada satu pihak ketiga, pihak ketiga yang sanggup membeli lagu tadi, copyright lagu tadi dengan harga 40,000. Jadi 40,000 tadi dikira sebagai sebagai residual value. So, for this particular question, we are going to amortize the copyright for 5 years. How are we going to calculate the depreciation? Sorry, how are we going to calculate the amortization? Amortization will be based on the amortizable amount. Amortizable amount which is 100,000. 100,000 less present value of 40,000. So the amount is 60,000. The amortizable amount is 60,000. 60,000 divided by 5 years equal to 12,000 per annum. 12,000 per annum. So amortization is 12,000, 12,000, 12,000 for 5 years. At the end of 5 years, there is a scrap value or residual value of 40,000. If there is no firm commitment, the amortizable amount or depreciable amount is 100,000 and the amortization is 20,000 per annum. So it depends. It depends. You purchase a copyright at a cost of 100,000. Another person also purchased a copyright with a cost of 100,000. But the difference between you and your friend is you have a commitment from a third party to purchase at 40,000. Your friend, there is no commitment from third party. So you can amortize 12,000 per annum and your friend will amortize 20,000 per annum. Amortization is different because your copyright, you have a firm offer from a third party, but your friend copyright, it has no firm offer from third party. So amortization amount is different. Yours is 12,000 and your friend is 20,000. Secondly, indefinite life. Indefinite life. What is indefinite life? Indefinite life is referring to a situation where intangible assets with indefinite life are not amortized but tested for impairment. Tested for impairment or annually. Tested for impairment or whenever there is an indication of impairment. So you do not have to amortize, but you have to test for impairment. Useful life of indefinite life of intangible asset are reassessed annually. So every year you have to reassess. Is there any useful life? Is there any change in value? Is there any useful life? Is there any change in value? So the change from indefinite life to finite life is accounted for as a change in accounting estimate. For example, it starts with indefinite life. It starts with indefinite life. Until after a few years, it becomes a finite life. It becomes a finite life. So a change from indefinite to finite life is an indication of impairment. Okay, so I believe I will stop here. Okay, in the next class we are going to look at this example. Example for indefinite life. But can I go through this example first before we stop class?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so we go through the example. The question here is, an entity acquired the legal title of a leading brand. Acquire. The word acquire. Acquire means purchase or buy. Yeah. The legal title to a leading brand. The legal life is 5 years, but is renewable every 5 years at little cost. The entity intends to renew it continuously. An analysis of product life cycle, market and competitive trends indicated that the product will be generating net cash inflow for an indefinite period. Okay, just now your contract is only for 5 years, and then it is renewable. But the market research say the cash inflow will be indefinite period. After a few years, in the year 13, in the year 13 or in the 13th year, there is an unexpected competition and the entity may lose 20% of the market share. However, it has evidence that the brand product will generate positive cash flow indefinitely. Yeah, indefinitely. So, how are we going to tackle this question? For the first 12 years, it is indefinite life. Because the market say you are going to get the future benefit for indefinite life. We don't have to amortize, but we have to test for impairment every year. Right? In the 13th year, the brand tested for impairment and may need to be written down to its recoverable amount if the carrying amount is more than the recoverable amount. But in this example, there is no amount, so we cannot check, okay, how much is the carrying amount and how much is the recoverable amount. Since there is evidence that the product will generate net cash inflow indefinitely, then the intangible asset can continue not to be amortized. Okay, let's say the purchase price of the brand is 1 million. So it continue to be 1 million until the recoverable amount change. Let's say the recoverable amount change to 800,000. Then there is an impairment loss of 200,000. Otherwise, it will continue to be 1 million. Okay, so I believe we can stop here, and we are going to continue our lesson in the next class. Yeah. You have any question?
No, sir.
No question. What is today? Today date is 19/3/2024. Okay. If you do not have any question, then we are going to stop the class here with Surah Wal Asr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladzina amanu wa amilus solihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you,
Waalaikumsalam.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Terima kasih, sir.
Welcome.
Sir.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Selamat berpuasa, sir.
Terima kasih. Selamat berpuasa juga untuk anda semua.